So I've been working in research for more than 30 years, and I've always enjoyed it. And I think what stimulates me more than anything else, if I put it in a nutshell, is to say that what drives me when I get up in the morning is really the joy of discovery. When I come into work and I sit down to do research, most days I sit down and I talk to the students and we talk about what experiments we're doing, what are our plans for the next week, what are our long-term goals over the next 6 months, where do we want to go. And we always have hypotheses. So we generate hypotheses, then we decide how we're going to do this. And we come up with, we read papers, we read the background, we come up with a procedure, we decide what experiments we're going to do. And every single time when we do it, what happens is the results that we get are not the results that we expected. So throughout my whole career, I think every hypothesis that I've ever had has been proven wrong. But what we do is we follow the trail of the data that's being generated, because the data don't lie. Whatever the data are showing us means we have to sit down and we have to think about it, and then we have to try and interpret it and try and understand what is the data telling us. And a lot of times I'll go home on the weekends or in the evenings, and I'll always be thinking about this in the back of my mind and coming up with different ideas. And sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and I say, that's it, that's what I should do. And I come in on Monday morning and say, I know what it means. This is what we can do. So it's that joy of discovery that really keeps us going. It's almost like a piece of the puzzle that every time we do new experiments, we come up with a piece of the puzzle and we're putting it together and we're trying to make a big picture. And one of the reasons it's so stimulating is because you never get to the end. So a lot of people think that are outside research, that they think research is very methodical, very scientific. You sit down, you make a list of experiments, you do your experiments, you publish them in the paper, and that's it. That everything you expect to see is what you're going to see. But that's not the case, because almost every time we do something, we go in a different direction. And it's one of those challenges is to be able to sit down, and sometimes it can be very frustrating to say, I don't understand this, what does it mean, what direction should I go in? And one of the joys that I've had is that most of the ideas that we work on don't necessarily come from me. So I've worked with a lot of really good graduate students and postdocs and other colleagues and researchers with both national and international collaboration. And a lot of times these ideas come from other people. And when I look at the list of publications that we have, I can remember a student walking into my office and saying, look, I saw this. What do you think if we did? And then we go ahead and do it. And some of those experiments and the insight from the students has really been what has been the most rewarding. So there's a lot of things in research that need to be dealt with, but it's really the joy of discovery that is what is so stimulating after 30 years of working in research. So the one tip I would give to someone, and I think this applies for anyone, whether they're working in research or it's the same advice that I gave to my children when they were growing up, and that is find something that really stimulates you. Find something you like to do. So if you're in research, find a line of research that you like, whether it's working with really basic science, working with cells, or whether it's working with human studies, or whether it's working on social or population studies. Find something that you find stimulating and challenging, because that's what's going to get you up in the morning and really drive you, because a lot of research is independent work. There's nobody there telling you to do this today, do that tomorrow. You have to be self-motivated, and it's one of the things that really self-motivates you is if you have something that you like. So in research, there's teaching, there's administration, there's research work. There's a lot of work that goes into research just in preparing grant applications, finding a position, for example, in a university or a research center, or doing research in, let's say, pharmaceutical companies. So there's a lot of work that goes into doing all of those things that need to be done. But to compensate for that is the joy that you have in really aiming at your particular research work that stimulates you. And again, I come back to the same thing, is the joy of discovery. And that's what you need to keep in mind. Find something you like to do. So that's the best tip that I have ever given any of the students that have worked with me.